of Communications and External Affairs here at the Charles B. Wong Community Health Center. It has been a pleasure to work here, now almost a decade, working in health education and development, communications and external affairs. And I am just so proud to be able to help shepherd this support from Assemblymember Nili Rozic to support breastfeeding. And people just don't realize the challenges, the true challenges of breastfeeding unless you're actually experienced it. And it is support through OBGYN and pediatrics at the Charles B. Wong Community Health Center that has helped many patients go through those challenges, all those barriers. So I am so excited that we're able to push this through, hopefully the beginning of many more support, especially from Assemblymember Ron Kim, who's joining us. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce our Chief Executive Officer, Kaushal Chawla.
Thanks. I have a very long speech. I'm not nearly as eloquent as Rochelle, so I will keep it quite short. But first, I just want to really thank our esteemed Assembly members, Nili Rozic and Ron Kim, for coming out in support of this. You both have supported us in many ways. You come to our sites, you come to our events, our health fairs, our vaccine centers, you talk with us in Albany, so we really appreciate that you show up for us in many different ways. And on today's occasion, I just really want to thank Assemblymember Rozic for supporting this exciting program for breastfeeding education. I want to mention that she reached out to us and said, this is a topic on my mind. What can you do? And we were inspired by that and we put something together. So we're very excited by that. It's obviously a very stressful time for parents as well as a joyful time. And I think we are excited to be able to contribute positively to that. So I want to say a word about our amazing staff. I think we all, in some way, do this type of work because we are excited about breaking down barriers to healthcare.
Assemblymember Rozic, for your support of this particular health education campaign that we're launching. Right now, actually, it's happening. At the health center, we have amazing clinical care team support the patient, like including care managers and the RNs. They provide breastfeeding support, but we still see there is a gap of knowledge of breastfeeding benefits and lack of support in the communities that we serve. So this opportunity that we could launch this multi-method, broad health education and communications campaign, that we really want to address some misconceptions we have about breastfeeding in our communities, and some of them moms, like, they don't know the true benefits of breastfeeding for not only the babies but for the mothers and maybe even the whole family. So through this campaign, we will launch a radio program. So in the radio show, we'll talk about particularly cultural and contextual relevant breastfeeding concerns, in our culture, because they do the sitting of month postpartum, traditional remedy. We have rice wine cooked soup, supposed soothing, and have a speedy recovery. But I do, in my experience working at OBGYN, at the health educator, provide breastfeeding support. I have observed a lot of concerns from the mothers, like, oh, I'm doing this postpartum thing, I'm drinking this soup. My mother-in-law said I cannot breastfeed the baby. I will give to the baby through breast milk. I said, there's ways you could still breastfeed, and first of all, do a little bit education and some instruction how to cope with like cultural practices. So I want to talk about that again. I just feel like breastfeeding is very, very important. It's not an all or no decision making, but it is truly the safest and the most nutritious food for the baby. So we want to talk about it again, through the radio program, social media campaign. We do want to engage our followers. For WeChat, we have about 4,000 followers. We can address to them. Also, we have this breastfeeding flyer that will post in the examination rooms and distribute in the waiting area. So at the health center, no matter it's nurses and providers and patients or families, they see this flyer, maybe it's a good conversation start. Hey, I see this is a breastfeeding benefits. I'm thinking about breastfeeding, and can we talk more? I think it's a good way to have the conversation going. I'm very excited.
I had a long speech to tell all the wonderful service that we provide at the PEDS unit. So we do provide the comprehensive pediatric care at, where all the families come first, right? Our bilingual pediatricians and staff deliver high quality of care that culturally sensitive and accessible to all regardless of their ability to pay. So our approach to breastfeeding support demonstrates this commitment. We have bilingual lactation counselors that directly joins our clinical teams that provide educations whilst the mom and the baby is seeing on the same visit. They can always ask any questions we have. We always have a counselor on site to provide that educations for them. That's great. At no additional cost, and they don't need to schedule any other appointments to come in just to get the lactation counseling done. While the baby is seeing the pediatricians, a counselor is ready here to answer your questions. So this is a one-shot service that they can get. We also offer virtual counseling, just to be mindful that the Chinese culture that they need to stay at home for 1 month. They have that traditional home staying for 1 month, but dads bring the babies in, and that's like, mom have a lot of questions. We can schedule a virtual visits to answer their questions and give them some counselings that they need. So this kind of flexibility, cultural sensitive care, that is what makes our service unique, and effective for parents to understand the importance of breastfeeding, So this grants will help us, like as Yaja mentions, to expand the efforts of providing more educations, materials, radio programming, social media support in both English and Chinese, right? Reaching more families and to the communities to understand the importance of breastfeeding. So we want to thank Assembly Woman Rosette for helping us strengthen this support for new mothers and the babies. So it is very important that we know and we understand. So this is why that most of our counselors went through the lactation training, so they can provide the right educations to the parents that comes in the newborn's mom, and as we just talk, right, we understand that they have lots of questions when they come in from it. They may not think about it when they see in their OB doctors, right? But now
she's supporting this breastfeeding program or education program. She has also provided capital funding in the past for this very building that we're sitting in, which now provides high quality primary care, including internal medicine, dental care, OBGYN, primary eye care, and mental health to everyone, regardless of their ability to pay, the language they speak, insurance status, and important now more than ever, your immigration history. So we serve everyone, and with Assembly member support, capital funding with this, and also.
I really am so thrilled to be here with all of you. And unbeknownst to me, just last night I realized today is actually Maternal Health Awareness Day. Oh. So it's particularly fitting that we're here, auspicious in a way, to celebrate and shine this light on a critical issue that, like Rochelle mentioned, like so many of our doctors mentioned, like I went through not so long ago, and I know that's facing parents and families across our community. It's a huge issue, not just when you're in the hospital or prenatal. It's really, really critical that we help support the parent, the entire wraparound, the entire process and timeline of a pregnancy out through their 4th trimester. So I know that becoming a parent is like life-changing, one of the most profound things you could go through, and it comes with a lot of challenges. I mentioned to some of you before that I had the average challenge of breastfeeding myself, but could have used so much more support from lactation consultants and doctors. In my personal case, I saw my OBGYN once after delivery, and that was it. And there was no real like, okay, this is the journey that you're on. Let's help guide you. Let's give you a booklet. Let's give you the support that you need. Everything that I really learned about breastfeeding was through social media, which is sort of like great on one hand because it's out there, but also that should not be the be all and end all. It should come from your health providers. And so I know that for a lot of folks, you know, that's the average case, but for many, many parents, they probably feel overwhelmed. They probably feel isolated. They're definitely unsure of where to turn for support. So I'm really excited to be taking this important first step in addressing a lot of those challenges, hand in hand with the folks here at Charles B. Wang. So I'm really thrilled to announce the state grant of $50,000 to start this new parent support group and social media campaign. I think it will go a really long way in supporting so many of the families that come through the center, and hopefully with your help and support and the media at large, more parents will come to the center knowing that this is a service that you provide and that there is full support and guidance and resources to thrive as a new parent. And this initiative really reflects what values that I hold dear.
For joining us. For those who are not familiar with Assemblymember Ron Kim, he represents the 40th Assembly District, which covers Flushing, Murray Hill, Linden Hill, and he has supported the health center through various initiatives, including funding critical COVID vaccination hesitancy education, and also scaling up our Teen Resource Center here in Flushing. So thank you again, Assemblymember Ron Kim.
Thank you. Thanks. I mean, I'm really here just to thank my colleague, Millie Rozek, and thank the leadership of Charles B. Wang. My family and I, my girls and I spent a lot of hours at the other site. You know, Charles B. Wang was my primary place after my wife and I had our 3 kids. So we had many meltdowns, you know, in these facilities, many stressful moments, a lot of ups and downs. And as a partner, you know, to my wife going through the process, I've seen, looking back on it, it's easy to kind of laugh about it, you know, but during that time it was very traumatic. It was a lot of trauma because I've saw firsthand how invalidating it can make a mom feel when you're not providing enough or not nursing enough, and how oftentimes you feel judged or you're not doing enough. And there's a lot of, I think, psychological and mental stress that goes along with this process, and for the family around the mom as well. And luckily, we were in a privileged position to get referrals and find like a private coach for our first child. And I still have videos of this, like coaching, like I'm not, my wife's not here, I don't want to embarrass her.